As many assume and believe, the sin of gluttony is harmful toward us. After all, it is one of the seven deadly sins in Christianity. However, what if I tell you the sin of gluttony have been a blessing on us ever since the dawn of our existence? Before we get deeper into this, what is the definition of gluttony? It is the habitual overindulgence and overconsumption of what we desire to the point of excess. Also, looking at this definition, it reminds us about another deadly sin, which is greed. By definition, it means a selfish and excessive desire for more of something that is needed or deserved. From this, we can spot a very noticeable connection between the two. Without greed, there will be no gluttony, and no gluttony exists without greed. Therefore, one leads to the other, and they cannot exist without each other. For example, when you first start getting greedy about money, eventually you will save them more, try to have more, do everything in your power for more. But then, after you have all the money you desired, you will want more, and a necessary amount of them that you don't even need, and that's what gluttony is. Based off this example, we can clearly tell how greed is nothing but a smaller, less developed version of gluttony, as it is born inside us as greed that does not seem as unhealthy as gluttony is. And that's how our spirit fools us. Now that we know greed and gluttony are the same thing, let's return to our previous question. How exactly is gluttony a blessing, since it's literally destroying us from inside out? It can be explained with a simple concept. When we feel greedy at first, what do? We try to satiate that feeling by actually having and getting more. Greed is always interpreted as wanting more money. But how about a man with no technology, needing to fill 2 buckets of water a day from a far river he cannot live next to? What this man would do is, instead of filling 2 buckets a day, he may fill 4 or more. Now he doesn't have to go every day, and that's an act of greed. After he does so, eventually he would want an easier way, maybe fill 6 buckets instead, or he could hire someone to do it for him. And now he doesn't have to get it by himself, and then he could turn it into a business, and now he has water for himself and making a living out of it. And in other words, he has access to so much water he doesn't even need for himself, but he is living in gluttony because of it, and he may use technology to get that water for him without needing someone to do it. And now everyone has access to that water at their doorstep rather than traveling for it. All of that because of the greed and the chase of gluttony of a man. This example can be interpreted in every easy access of anything we have in our modern life, like water, food, shelter, transportation, information access, etc. Therefore, gluttony have been the key for all the progress we have made in life. And without it, we could have been in the same state of animals, getting everything the hard way. So all it have been trying to give us was an easier life. Except once we have too much of what we wanted and every easy access to it, it eventually loses its value and we no longer appreciate it. And that's exactly why it is a major sin and one of the 7 deadly ones. And so is greed, and one leads to another. So eventually, it will destroy us from within. How, you may ask? I tell you, because once you no longer value something that was essential for you, you will feel significantly lazier since you already got unlimited access to what you always wanted. And so you lose your drive to everything else, not just what you wanted. And we can clearly see how a sin leads to another. However, how come only we humans feel greedy and see gluttony, but animals don't? To answer this question, we must first address what makes us different than animals. Is our level of consciousness. We can sense and feel the time better than they can. We think of the past, the present, and the future better than them. And because of exactly that, we always care and give value to what to come. We always think, I want next time to be easier. That's what animals don't have. When a lion hunts, it doesn't think about what to come. It thinks about eating, then sleeping, until it's hungry again. Then it thinks about hunting. But we don't think that way. As soon as we get what we wanted, we think about how to get it again. And that is the differential that was made by consciousness only. Unfortunately, this sin haven't been looked at in any way but a negative one, which has ruined its reputation and was made to only be related to overconsumption of food and drinks, which actually holds a much deeper meaning and purpose. As much as it is harmful to us, it's still useful and would have improved our lives. Many philosophers talked about greed and gluttony negatively. However, in this essay, we will focus on 2 philosophers. The first one is Georges Bataille. His core idea was that life is built on excess and overflow. He said that excess is what makes us human. He says that life naturally creates surplus. Imagine a tree. The tree doesn't produce exactly 1 leaf because that's all it needs. It produces thousands. Many fall and rot. Flowers bloom and die. Seeds are scattered that never grow. Nature itself is extravagant, and so are humans. Once basic needs are met, we do not simply stop consuming. We spend on luxury, beauty, celebration, love, status, religion, spectacle, and pleasure. As Georges believed that this is a fundamental characteristic of life. However, on the other hand, the philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer said that desire is an endless prison. He begins his argument with a simple observation. When you want something desperately, once you get it, you feel satisfied, yes, but eventually you will seek more, or something entirely different and new. And the cycle never ends. He concludes from this, the reason for it is what he called the will. not meaning your willpower, but a natural, blind power that exists in all living beings. For example, when you get hungry, you eat, but few hours later, you will get hungry again. And that's the case with everything. And Arthur believes it's something that makes us who we are. And it is a law of life that we always want and need more. As much as such sin is viewed negatively by society or religion, it has a positive impact, cannot be deniable, since over time humans attacked greed and gluttony, and yet they are not aware they were already living in the result of these feelings. However, when they actually pose a threat to us is when they are fully satisfied, because only then more sins follow and less spiritual clarity we have. Religions did offer a solution to this actually. It was a simple fast of pleasures, temporarily. From there, it is believed to cleanse the soul from such weight. In summary, these desires were the reason of us moving forward, and yet they still are a tool that could bring us backwards. As family said, it's a double-edged sword. It strikes hard, but it could also slice your hand.